All right. Hi, guys. Welcome to Draw webinar session. I hope you can all hear me well. We have around 1 hour to go through different Draw modules and tools. I will keep you muted during the session, but please ask questions through the comments and we will get them at the end. Or perhaps we can have a few breaks between different modules that we'll go through. Okay, a quick introduction. For those who have not met me yet, I'm Ivona Hubova. I've worked in GeoSLAM as an application engineer for almost 3 years now. Recently, I've been doing a lot of dealers and customers trainings where we might have met. I'm based in Nottingham in the main GeoSLAM office where we work with a range of SAP products. And today we will cover specific packages that are offered within GeoSLAM Hub. And the aim of this webinar is to explain what each draw package contains and which tools you can use within the package. We have 5 draw modules, which are Draw Start, Plan, BIM, Mining, and Pro. We have a table with the modules and individual functions. This can be also downloaded from the website geoslam.com/hub. And you can see that the start contains only a few functions, but they are essential tools for vectorizing or georeferencing data. From start package, then users can update to Plan, BIM, Mining, and Pro, where Plan is more suited for creating floor plans. BIM can be used with a Revit platform. There are additional tools for volumes and profiles in the mining package, and Pro contains completely everything. And what I'll be doing during the session, I'll be switching between the PowerPoints and different draw projects where we can go through all those packages and tools using a couple of different data examples. So the first package, Draw Start. On the top of the window, you can see the available tools. Draw Start is available with every GeoSLAM Hub as a base, and it can be used for creating simple floor plans, aligning point cloud, georeferencing data with different methods, or using it with the ZEP panel and 360 images. What is missing with the Draw Start is the full data import and export option and further analytical functions. So I'm going to start a first draw project now. To start the draw, what I need to have is to have the hub open, be connected to internet, have the hub licensed, and hopefully on the bottom right corner, you can see that I'm running the version 5.3, which is the latest hub version. If you have not downloaded it yet, it's also available on geoslam.com/support for a download. Okay, and I had my first draw already open. It will automatically generate the standard top view, front view, and the left view. This is a collected horizon data around our office. What I'm going to do now is to switch only to the tools that are available within the Draw Start. So within license information, I'm going to change to the Start package. You can change different packages. If you only have Start and select Pro, the rest of the tools that are not available will be grayed out. So using the Start package, there are a couple of project settings that you can change, like the units that you want to work with, different options for the layout, sections, data export, registration, and so on. That's something that we will get into. And I'll start with the tools first on the top right, which is the sketch option, where you can use different functions such as measure distances, areas, angles, and annotate the part of the view. So if you want to measure a distance, just quickly, it's important that you actually measure the distance from the center of the wall. If you want to create the straight lines, if you hold Shift key, you can draw the straight lines. And whatever tool you use in the job editor, you will have further options that you can change. What kind of line you want to be drawing, whether it's a solid or a dotted line, and what's your font size, and so on. Selecting the area measurement. You just have to get back to the first point where you started in order to close the loop. And then you have further functions like measuring the angles. Or adding a text to your views. Then the next option that we have available in Start are vectorizing options. So for that, we can create a section through the building, and I can show you how to create a floor plan. For that, what works sometimes for people is first to align the point cloud, so you actually would be able to draw the straight lines. And to do that, on the left-hand side, there's an option to align scan project, where you can just select the corner of the building and drag your X and Y axis, which will then give you an option in the job editor, either to apply it to the current view or to apply to the entire project. If you apply to the entire project, all the views will need to be recomputed again. I've got some layouts and sections in here already. I'm just going to delete them, and I'm going to create a new one. So using the layout and section tool on the left-hand side, you can create a part of the floor or the building where you want to draw the section from. You can adjust the depth. The arrow will indicate the direction. And for creating a floor plan, it makes sense having the layout in the most clear part of the building. So I don't have any scan inside of this building, but if I scan the individual rooms, you might want to create a layout which doesn't contain a lot of furniture inside, like just right above the floor or below the ceiling. Again, Job Editor will bring you further processing options where you can define your image resolution of the layout. And if you're happy with the settings in the job list, you can just hit play for the layout to be generated. And on purpose, I just try to create a layout in between sort of the floor, so I don't have any windows and furniture inside there. You might have noticed that as the layout's been created, it's been written in DWG and DXF files as well. This is all saved within the project structure. And I've got my layout here. I'm starting with the Vectorizer tool, which is a good start for finding the lines automatically. So you can just highlight the area that you want to vectorize. In the job editor options, you can modify histogram to allow more or less points on the walls and specify the minimum length of your lines. So I'm just going to try with 1.5 meters. And looking for the lines, those are the lines that's been automatically found. There are further tools that can be used then to merge the lines, where you can just walk around the floor and merge individual line work. I'm just going to do a few of them. And you can also create the lines manually at the vertices, intersect between the lines, which might be easier if your point cloud is aligned first, so you can actually hold the shift key and create the straight lines of the buildings or the rooms. Okay. Let's say I finished all the floor plan rounds. You can then vectorize your layout. And you'll write those lines in DWG. If you right-click, you can look into folder and my vectorize layout _3 just here. If you have any free viewer, I've got the MicroStation running. You can have a look into your line work. And for the rest of the tools that we have available, like creating the 3D point, exporting the point cloud, or detecting a sphere, I'll demonstrate it with the data that we will georeference. There is perhaps one more tool, and that enables you to create a panoramic view of the point cloud, where you select the position. You'll be able to pan through the generated data. So I'll just keep this running. And this data set actually contains a couple of checkable targets that we can use for georeferencing the data. We've got the measured points above each of the targets, so we can then export the georeference point cloud at the end. Panorama has been created in the meantime. And from the selected point, you can use this 3D view to look at a point cloud, as opposed to using the standard top and front views only. Okay, so back to PowerPoint for a second. When it comes to data georeferencing, there are a couple of options how we can georeference the data. using the checkerboard targets, which can be done with horizon because it's got intensity. We can use the spheres, both with horizon or RT, or the reference plate. And for now, this is available for RT. I know that many of you are probably waiting for horizon to work with the reference plates, and this is something that we are working on, and it will be available from the next hub release. What's important for the targets is to have a good reflectivity if used with horizon in near infrared, be reasonable in size, maybe around 0.5 meter times 0.5 meter if it's a checkerboard target, and have them well distributed across the captured area. If I go back to my draw project now, the standard views with my default settings are generated without using reflectivity. So you actually cannot see any checkerboard targets on the ground. And to be able to see them, I'm just going to edit my top view and change the processing options to include reflectivity. When it comes to image resolution with horizon and Vivo RT system views, usually 1 or 2 centimeters. Higher resolution can be just too fine to pick any detail, and any lower resolution might be quite a bit pixelated to be able to pick the central point of the checkerboard. Okay, so if I keep zooming in, now the checkerboard targets or even the paint marks on the road are much more visible. And using the 3D point in the sketch tools, you can place the points right in the middle of the targets, and I've got just a few to place those around. If you, for instance, measured a corner of the building and you want to place the point there, and it might not be quite visible, you're not sure if you place the point on the top of the corner of the building or right below it, there is this multi-view function which can be handy to double check the point from the side view. So I ticked in multi-view, and I'm going to create a quick section through the roof of the building with a point right in the middle. And I just need to open my draw project one more time. I don't think it liked me clicking on the section too many times, but you don't lose any of your data once you create the sections or the points as they are written within your project structure. So opening my section, you can actually see that the point has been snapped on the top of the building. If it wasn't, you have an option to move it around to put it to the correct place. But for now, I placed all of my points, the checkerboard targets. If I want to georeference the point cloud, I'll just go back into the start package. There's a registration option, transform calculator, where you'll have all your points in the point cloud system. And you can just add a file with the measured GPS coordinates. Just make sure that the import unit and the X, Y, and Z is in the correct order. Once imported, depending on their unique distribution, you can look for the constellation and it will match those points automatically. So what you'll get in the last windows is all the residuals, deltas for X, Y, and Z. If there is any of the points that you're not happy with, you can remove it from your list. Find constellation again. What you'll get in the bottom left corner is the transformation parameter list and the final RMS. If you're happy with the results, you can create an align which will now compute the new views for the standard top, front, and left view. I'm just going to use the top view for the last two. So once the point cloud is in the correct place, there is a point cloud export option where you can actually highlight the part of the point cloud that you want to be exported. And in the job editor, you can save it to different file formats. RCP is not available from Draw Start, but from Draw Plan 1 upgrade from Start, you'll be able to use the RCP file format. I'm just going to use LAZ, and the data is automatically saved within the folder structure. So if you want to see where any of the data sits that's generated within the job list, you can just right-click and show the data in folder. Now, this was georeferencing using the targets, but if you have the Revo or with the horizon zoom and want to use the reference plate, the points are actually saved within trajectory automatically as you put the system static for the 5 seconds over the points like nails or small points that you cannot easily see in the point cloud. And I'm going to switch to that, to a data set around the same place, but collected with the RT, with the reference plate. And I'm going to hide those points. So as you process the RT data or horizon data, the text file with the coordinates, the local coordinates of each stopped point, and the time and duration is being saved in the folder structure. To bring the points in, we just select the 3D point, click anywhere in the cloud, and in the job editor you have an option to import the points. What you'll just need to make sure is that X, Y, and Z actually corresponds to the project file. And as you import the points, they'll be on the place where you place the system static. And so from here, the registration is exactly the same using the transform calculator. where you browse for your points and you can find the constellation and create a line. At the moment, however, what is important for RT is that every point that is imported automatically, just check that your Z value is deduced by the correct number that will be shown on the bottom of the plate. So whether you're using ZCAM or not, there's a value in millimeters that you need to deduce from Z. So please do that for now manually for each of the points. This is something that will be more automated from the next release. What is also possible in Draw version 3 is if you place the sphere. I don't have any in this project, but you are able to move it around. If you place the spheres as a targets in the settings, registration, you can specify the diameter of the sphere that you're using. If it's a non-standard size, you'll be actually able to write your own specification for the sphere diameter. Just like with using the points in the multi-view, it's good if you use the sphere and make a cross-section over the top of it and make sure that it's fitting into the actual sphere shape from the side view as well. Right, moving to Draw Plan. On the left-hand side, you can see the new features that are available when upgrading to Plan package. And additional functionality here is that you have the web export, you have the tool called Merger, where you can create the floor plans, and you have additional analytical tools where you can unwrap the cylindrical spaces or different structures into the 2D space for measurements. And it's more suited for the users that use Draw to create the final products. What Draw Plan does not include is the CAD integration, and it doesn't have all the formats. However, you can use the RCP with the Draw Plan. I'm going to open a different project. This is actually data captured around our office, and it contains Pano 360 data within it. If you don't want to see any of the features or layers in the top view, you can use this tool on the left-hand side, and you can untick different points and layout and sections that you don't want to be visible. So as mentioned before, the Pano data can be used from Draw Start, but now using Draw Plan, we'll have more modules available, such as web export, merger, and all those space wrap functions. So if I had a layout, or I'm just going to use a top view, my standard top view, there is a merger tool with which you can create a scaled plans with scale and precise measurements. It will also be saved in DXF and DWG formats. Those functions, like polygonal sections or the curve section, could be used on the buildings, meaning that you don't only have to create a section from A to B, but you can unwrap the entire space. So for instance, using the office building, over here, double click to finish. You have options to adjust the clipping area to make it wider or more narrow, and adjust it on the front or side view as well. Make sure that the entire building is included. Further in the processing options, you can change image resolution, color map, and it will generate a PDF documentation with the unfolded layout, colored with a preset color map. So if I run the polygonal section, hopefully it gives you an idea how different parts of the room are all unwrapped in one 2D space, which can be easier to create measurements. And in the folder, it will also create this PDF documentation where during the polygonal section creation, you can fill in information about the acquisition team, various comments, add your own logo. And it will also produce this unfolded layout map based on the distance colors. So the arrow as you are creating, the direction as you're creating the polygonal section will indicate the direction of it. And it will sort of give you a feeling of which features are close or which are further in this type of the view. The other options, just like curve section, will allow you to follow the curved structures. And the cylindrical unfolding section could be used for the features like tunnels, unwrapping them, and looking for any defects on the 2D view, which I can show you on a different dataset. But before opening any other data, I'll just show you the panoramic option. So I have each room, which is already named, and you can open your panorama and pan through. This is something that can be also set up, whether you're panning through and you actually see the entire panoramic option. In the file and settings, sketch panorama, you have an option to use the planar view. When orange or unticked, it will be bubble view, where you can pan right through it. The really useful tool with Draw Plan is the web export. So highlighting the area you want to include, it will create HTML and the PDF document, where in the job editor you can also choose the setting, whether you want to have your panorama or point cloud there. Alternatively, If you are capturing with Zepcam, the Vivo RT or Horizon, and you have the MP4 video file, in the files browsed, you'll be able to bring in the video. I'm just going to show you the web export with the panoramic options. And I'm going to keep it running, but I have one generated over here already. So looking at it in the folder, you get an HTML, it's all saved locally. It will allow you to do the basic distance measurements. And select different rooms within the project that you can pan through them. If you have a project and you want to share the top view with a video, I've got a different data set open over here. So this was a Horizon UAV data where you can have selected view and share your video along with this view. There is additional tool that is available in Draw Plan, that's Delta 2 Plane, but it's something that I'll show you as we'll get to the mining module and we'll be creating profiles and volumes. One last thing perhaps that I can show is the PDF documentation that's created within the HTML. And again, in the settings, you can fill in the project information about the acquisition, add your own logos. You get your layout information with all the measurements and areas that were in the project, and all the images that are in the project itself. What is also new in the Draw version 3 is that if you have multi-story building, don't have it open, but I've got a quick print screen of it, you will automatically get different colors to the images in different floors. Meaning it will be much easier to identify from the top view which image belongs to which floor. And this information is also used when you're creating a web export. Moving to the next package. Another upgrade from start is Draw BIM. And Draw BIM will allow you to use the Revit, where you have a 4-cut plugin, and create easily 3D building models. However, what the tool is missing is the profiler and any tools for creating volume measurements. So the highlighted tool right on the top is the 4-cut plugin. So if you are Revit users, I'm going to bring you into the Draw project that just before the webinar I created a few walls and windows with. On the right-hand side, I've got the Revit open. I have Revit plugin logged in to the template. And on the left-hand side, I've got my Draw I'm going to make sure that I'm going to use Draw BIM module. And to be able to create a walls and roofs and individual floors, you just define your layouts, create floors, and from there you can keep adding different windows, doors, and so on. So just to show you an example, the AutoCAD plugin needs to be turned on. I'm going to open some of the created sections. Section 0. Okay, and if I want to add a window, all you need to do is to insert a window, and with the right clicks using the 3D point tool, if you've seen, it will add a selected window into the design. So I can just add one more. Left clicking into the window frame and double clicking on the opposite corner. So this is a workflow using Revit, and the AutoCAD plugin. You can easily work with the section views and build the walls just by double clicking on each wall. Same works for windows and doors without the need of bringing the point cloud to Revit. There is additional option in Draw BIM, which is the one on the top right corner, where you can match a photo on the planar surface, which will give you a little bit more of contextual information. So this innovation house option that I have right here is the photo match already. And you can edit different things like transparency, brightness, contrast, and so on, and export your photo match in a PNG file. Another upgrade from start is draw mining. There are additional functions for creating volumes and profiles, which are not fully automated. You will still need to define the area where they want to calculate the volume and use the deltas. It will create a mesh in the background. But what it doesn't include is the AutoCAD plugin and the photo match that was previously available in Draw BIM package. The tools are highlighted on the left-hand side, which are available from Draw Mining, the volumes, and also the profiler on the top right here. I'm going to move back into Draw and open the mining project, which is a stockpile data set flown by a UAV. With horizon. And as the views are being generated. You can sort of see that from the top view, it's very difficult to see any boundaries of the stockpile itself. From the front view, you can see that the stockpile is actually there, but we can use the delta to a plane function which will color code the data based on the distance. So you can select front or the left view to create the delta. Make sure the size on the top view is correct as well. You can edit the image resolution settings. I'm going to use 5 centimeters just because it gives a nicer color connectivity, and I'm going to leave the default color map. And those are always the PDF information that you can fill in for the project. I'm going to leave it blank for now. And with the calculated delta, it's much easier to see any boundaries of the stockpile. So from here, you have an option to use the mesh and the volumes. The mesh is actually computed during the volumes as well. So I can just show you the tools separately. Using the mesh option, you highlight, walk around the stockpile area. And you'll have a processing information for mesh accuracy and filtering objects. So having really highly accurate mesh will result in numerous triangles, and it will take quite a long time to compute. So I'm just going to lower down to 0.35 meters. Filtering objects, I leave the default value of 13 centimeters, meaning that if there would be any pole sticking out of the stockpile, it would be filtered out. And you can see the calculated mesh on the top of the project. Now I'm going to calculate the volume, and I'm going to use exactly the same parameters for the mesh. Here I'm drawing the path again, but you might have noticed that in the job editor processing option, you have an option to import or export the area, which could be used, for instance, if you want to compare the stockpile data over time. You can use the same base area created. In the processing options, I'm going to adjust the mesh accuracy to the same level of detail. So those will be the triangles that will be calculated for volumes. Filtering objects, it's using the volumetric method of Vec22013. And what it will also do is it will create a PDF document with a calculated volume. So this is the resulting volume. If I right click, there's a PDF documentation where you have your difference volume and additional information of the triangles that you might not need at the moment. Okay. Another option in the draw mining is this profiler tool, where you can create profiles, stock piles, or the landslides. So for that, I'm going to create a line that I'll duplicate through this capture. And if you right-click to duplicate, you can specify your pile offsets, let's say 2 meters, and I want 50 of those lines. They will run through the project depending on the direction as you draw the line. Using the profiler, left-clicking on any of those lines, you can select using all the lines and specify the accuracy and filtering objects parameters for the vertices that will be created along those lines. And I'm going to display for vectorizing. It's going to write DWG and DXF files. That's my default settings. So you can look for the data in folder, and those are the vectorized results, which you can then easily take as a final result. So I'm just going to show it and open it in the MicroStation. Where you can see the resulting profile of the flown stockpile. And the last module that we have is the Draw Pro. This will contain all of the tools that we went through. There are a couple of them that we have not used just now, but most of them are quite self-explanatory. If you just hold the mouse above them, it will tell you what the tool is. And we are also updating GeoSLAM Academy website with more contexts with the captured set data. So Draw Pro would be probably most suitable for the users which have varied client base and want to have all of those features available. I hope this brings a little bit of clarity into how different packages are used and what features there are within them. If you are not sure or have any questions, please have a look into the table, which is available on GeoSLAM website. Alternatively, within your draw, check your license information and package by package, which will show you which features are available. Okay, and I'm going to have a look if you have any questions. We have a few minutes to go over them and answer them. There will be a new webinar that will be running next week. That will be again about draw and the packages. If you have any suggestions or anything that we haven't covered yet, please let us know. What we don't have time to answer just now, we can include into the next webinar. Okay, bear with me a moment. I'll go through a couple of the questions. Okay, one of the recent ones. What did you say that Draw Start can do? Okay, so with Draw Start, you cannot use web export and share HTML data. You are not going to be able to import any proprietary data formats. You cannot use RCP, cannot use Revit plugin, any volumes or profiler functions. Basically, what you can do with Draw Start is use the sketch tools, use the measurements, do the vectorization, create layouts and sections, and georeference the data. And going through the next question. There are a few. If you can export the measurement data, one of the options is if you have the measurements of the area and the distance, and you create a web export, then this is something that will be saved within the PDF document on the selected view. Can you export orthophoto to Autocad to digitize the data? Absolutely. You can create the sections and layouts which are scaled, and you can specify the file formats. I put it automatically by default set to DXF, DWG. From there, you can of course take it to any other software if you wish. And just a few more. I'm asking about selecting a point in photo view and automatically reflecting Draw 3D. I hope this was answered with this Multiview option, that if you click the Multiview, you can actually move it, and you cannot check in the 3D viewer, but you can check in a different section from the side view that your point is actually fitting to the place where it's supposed to. Thank you all for your time today, and have a good day. Bye-bye for now.